Quest to Succeed, Chapter 15. He, however, had to find a full-time teaching job. He, therefore, returned to Delhi and made applications. He found a typing school nearby and asked the owner to type applications for him. He sent many applications to schools in Delhi State, Western Uttar Pradesh, and Rajasthan. After about 3 weeks, he received a telegram asking him to join a school in Somanpur, in Rajasthan. First, he was surprised that he had been appointed without an interview. Later, he discovered that the school did not want to waste energy and money by calling candidates for interview. They could judge the ability of a teacher based on the candidate's application. One of their managers had a degree in philosophy and psychology. He could judge people based on their writing style and writing skills. Jay was delighted to have a full-time teaching job. He could now use his qualifications and knowledge. His brother Nakul tried to persuade him not go to Rajasthan but to stay in Delhi. He argued that he, Jay, could earn the same amount of money through private tuition. On this, Jay did not agree with Nakul. It was different from having a teaching career. He was excited for being appointed a full-time teacher. He also realized that he earned money during the previous year through private tuition, but paid the entire sum to Nakul. He did not have any cash or funds with him for expenses. A few years later, he discovered that Nakul wanted him to stay in Delhi so he could continue to pay all his tuition money to him, which he would not receive from Rajasthan. Jay went to his village and asked his mother to lend him some money. He told her that he will receive his salary at the end of the month. He will have to pay for a room rent and food, and of course for the rail ticket to Somanpur. He also collected some clothes and his quilt and bed sheets. He returned to Delhi the next day. His dad came to see him off at the local railway station. He reached Delhi in the afternoon. The same night he started his train journey to Somanpur, 120 miles southwest of New Delhi, and reached the city next morning. At Somanpur railway station, he hired a horse-drawn tanga, which were the only means of transport at that time, and went straight to the school hostel. He asked to see the warden. He was given a room where he left his luggage. A teacher took him to school and introduced him to the headmaster, who further introduced him to other teachers and office staff. The headmaster gave him his teaching timetable and took him to his first lesson, which was a Hindi subject of 10th standard. Jay grew up to face the class fully prepared, and that the teacher should know what he was going to say and teach. He had not seen the subject syllabus and the topic to be taught on that day. He was not fully prepared to talk to students on the topic to be taught. When the headmaster left the room, he smiled at students and introduced himself as a trained graduate teacher. In that lesson, he was required to teach Hindi medieval poetry of Kabir Das. He leaned on the table as if he were sitting on it and asked the students to talk about themselves and what they have learned so far in the subject. Half the lesson time was over in this conversation. He then started to talk about Hindi cinema and a film based on the life of the poet whom they were studying. The title of the film was Dhul Ka Phool, Flower of the Dust, released in 1959, only a year earlier, and Jay had watched it. It had famous Hindi actors Rajendra Kumar, Malasinha, Nanda, Ashok Kumar, Manmohan Krishna, and Mehmood. In the story of the film, a young man falls in love with an orphaned young woman, but he married another woman at his father's behest. The orphaned woman discovered that she was pregnant. After a few months' time, she gave birth to a baby boy. She took the baby to the house of her old boyfriend, who told her that their relationship was a mistake. She was asked to leave the house, which she did without any argument. The young lady used to live with her uncle. On the discovery of her pregnancy, she was thrown out of the house. She had no place to live. She, therefore, abandoned the baby in a forest. The baby was found by a passerby who took him to his house and eventually adopted him. When the boy started schooling, other children teased and taunted him, saying that he was illegitimate. The child left the school and became a petty thief. He was caught by the police and was presented at the magistrate's court. His mother turned up at the hearing. The hero of the film, Rajendra Kumar, was the presiding magistrate, who was also the child's biological father. He recognized the boy's mother, who was his college girlfriend. He admitted his fault and wanted the child to come and live with him. The film had the classic song sung by his adopted father, "Tu Hindu banega, na Musalman banega, insan ki aulad hai insan banega." It could be translated that you would be brought up as a human being. Because you are a child of human beings, you would neither be a Hindu nor a Muslim. Even though the child was born to Hindu parents, he was brought up by a Muslim guardian. Jay related this story with the life of the poet he was supposed to teach. He gave a good impression to students and told them that they could treat him as their friend and discuss any matters with him. Some of the students were only 3 or 4 years younger to him and older than his own youngest brother. At the school, he adjusted himself very quickly and was a popular teacher. From the next day, Jay started to prepare his lesson and teaching plan. He was always well prepared to face the class in both his subjects, Hindi and English. He also became acquainted with other colleagues who taught different subjects at the school. They were all friendly and in their 20s, except for the headmaster and the humanities teacher, who had crossed 30 years in age. After a few weeks, he was asked to become the teacher editor of the school magazine. One of the language teachers objected to it. Being senior to Jay, he himself wanted to be the chief editor. The authorities were, however, advised by some experienced teachers who had worked with the other language teacher that this new teacher was the only one who could edit the school magazine successfully. The other teacher may not deliver it. The school magazine was to be published in April, just before the summer holiday. Jay felt that April was still 7 months away. There should be a handwritten magazine, Hastlikit Patrika, produced on Mahatma Gandhi's birthday, 2nd October. The magazine would be prepared by students in their own handwritten work, and all the articles would be based on Gandhiji's life and work. He encouraged students to author articles for the magazine. He wrote an editorial which recognized the importance of creative writing and producing new literature. It would also encourage students to think and frame their ideas and present them in an essay form. He added, "A man's experience and thoughts lead to the creation of literature which mirrors the society." He stressed that the work could be in the form of poetry, story, essay, or a historical account. This handwritten magazine was a collection of views of students. They had offered their homage, respect, and feelings through poems and articles on the life of this great man, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, commonly known as Mahatma Gandhi. Jay continued, "Though there was enormous literature on the life and activities of the Mahatma, the young students at the school had added to the existing literature." He praised his students when he wrote, "Their work was greatly appreciated because of their originality and expression and perceptions." He advised the students that they should continue to write their observations and experiences. The creation of literature ends the struggle and leads to cooperation, understanding, and a prosperous life. It creates a consciousness to work for social uplift, progress, and welfare. Jay also thanked the students for their efforts and cooperation in producing the handwritten magazine. Jay himself authored an article on Gandhi's concept of ahimsa, non-violence, in education. In this age of science and technology, Gandhi believed in non-violence, ahimsa, and practiced it. In one sense, he was more compelling and potent than the conquerors and creators of empires. It was his spiritual power which won the hearts of the people around the world. Jay developed this theme in greater detail, which the readers found interesting and useful. He asserted that it was rare in history that an empire was ended through negotiations and an act of parliament, rather than through defeating and killing the imperialist administrators and their army. It was nevertheless only the political freedom. For Gandhi, it was essential to accomplish economic and social reforms. He, Gandhi, wanted the Indians to remain away from the European influence and to develop and spread an Indian education system of their own. Gandhi advanced the view that the study of Asian culture was equally vital as was the learning of Western sciences. He maintained the vast treasure of Sanskrit, Arabic, Persian, Pali, and Tamil should be rediscovered. The idea was not only to feed on or to repeat the ancient cultures, but to build a new culture based on the traditions of the past and to enrich it with the experiences of the later times. For Gandhi, vocational and practical education was paramount for economic progress. He expressed the view that ahimsa, nonviolence, removed the psychological dark points of envy, jealousy, and ill will. He believed in building a humanity which was important for a country, a nation, and the world. He sustained that people should attempt to adjust themselves in accordance with their circumstances. After completing the magazine with articles and poems, it was bound in red color and presented to the headmaster on 2nd October, Gandhi's birth anniversary celebration at the school. The head of school liked the magazine so much that he circulated it to the teaching staff and the management, who were surprised to see the originality and the standard of articles. They could not believe that the new teacher was fresh from training college and was not an experienced educator. Later, the magazine was placed in the school library for students to see. Apart from editing the school magazine, Jay helped students in organizing the Students' Union activities. He was also the senior president of the School Cultural Association. With the help of students, he staged a drama in which he also sought help from his ex-students who had left the school but respected him and stayed connected with him. Jay was also asked to organize the half-yearly and annual examinations. In April, the high school board examinations were held. His school was the examination center for 4 schools. Apart from his school, students and teachers came from 3 other close-by institutions. He had to organize invigilation duties. He was fair in providing duties equally to all teachers because it was a paid job. The teachers would receive money for their commitment during invigilation. The security and safety were the responsibility of the headmaster, who kept the examination papers locked in a metal cupboard. The envelopes containing examination papers were opened in the presence of teachers just before the examination time. After the examination, the scripts were sent to the examining board through railway parcel system on the same day. All teachers took their duties seriously, and there was no obstacle of any kind. A couple of times, Jay himself accompanied the examination scripts to the local railway station. Teachers from other schools became close to Jay's colleagues, and they used to discuss about the school curriculum, atmosphere in their schools, the administration, and attitude of their management and the headmaster. Jay became friendly with the language teacher at another school. They had similarities in subject teaching. They both came from Uttar Pradesh, though from different regions. They used to have conversations every day. When the examinations were over, the teachers and students at other schools were to leave for their towns and cities. Jay's friend asked him to continue their friendship. They exchanged their addresses. After 2 weeks of their departure from Somanpur, the other teacher wrote a letter to Jay, reminding him of their decision to continue their fraternity and to maintain correspondence. Jay read the letter a couple of times. He was extremely impressed. It had emotional content and sometimes complaints that Jay would forget in course of time, just as the sand slips from the hand. Jay replied to him stating that their companionship was not temporary. It should continue for as long as possible. His letter, however, was more rational than emotional. It took the shape of a poem in which he expressed his views about continuing their affinity. I have countless perceptions and conceptions which cannot be converted into words. A vast number of people live in this world. They all do not become friends. Compassion, consideration, and warmth grow among those who have similar viewpoints and beliefs. It is the law of nature to meet and to part. They, however, leave an impression on their minds. Memories always persist in their hearts, even though they are not constantly together. If they are distanced, why worry? There is a hope to get together again. To meet and to get separated is imperative. It is not my intention to become hard-hearted in the desert state of Rajasthan. Temper teaches us to remain happy and elated. I do not like the practices of the world, where adoration and attachment are taken away. If allegiance and endearment are not perpetual, there could not be forbearing, love, and understanding. It would be right to suggest that love is not love if it alters when alteration it finds. In real circumstances, however, it was not possible to continue their bond for long. They faced different circumstances, had their own commitments. They taught at two separate locations. They never met again.